How do you judge something like the Aston Martin DBS? Something so beautiful and so fast and so powerful and so expensive. Well, join me as we try to figure it out together. The interior of the DBS is bang up to date. Great architecture, really top-notch materials. Check that real carbon fiber. It's amazing inside. The driving position is spot on, and the seats combine really good lateral support for when you're on it with around town comfort. Which brings me to a pleasant surprise, which is how well this does in the daily grind. It's got a really nice ride, courtesy of the bespoke Bilstein 2-setting dampers, which combine really tight body control with an around town suppleness that's essential if you're actually going to use the car day to day. And it doesn't impinge on the Aston's backroad prowess. It's flat and it's hooked up and it's a little bit benign with an understeering stance, which is helpful in something this expensive. But as you gain confidence, the mobility of the rear end comes to the fore. Helping here is the 2-stage stability control. Even in its most aggressive setting, it still allows for a little bit of fun. When you switch it to track mode, it opens things up. A lot of lateral slip is allowed, which is really terrific for somebody who wants to put this car through its paces. The final component in that is steering that's fast and linear and incisive. That's all the more impressive when you consider that the DBS weighs 3,800 pounds. And that is despite the use of all the carbon fiber in the body panels and in the structure. It does, however, weigh 200 pounds less than the DB9, with which it shares its architecture. That mass sure doesn't seem to hurt it at the test track. It still rips off 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, does a mid-12s quarter mile, and tops out at 191. Credit for that's gotta go to the amazing engine that powers the DBS. It's a V12, 6 liters, 510 horsepower, which is 60 more than the DB9's engine. It uses a lot of careful work honing the intake system and the cylinder heads to produce that kind of specific output. And along with the sound it makes, it's one of the most turbine-smooth, glorious engines I've ever driven behind. It's partnered here by, like all Aston Martins, a transaxle, which is where the transmission's in the rear of the car. In this case, it's a Graziano 6-speed manual. Hefty throws, but very rewarding to use. They've just introduced a ZF 6-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which they expect about 80% of the people to take. But I think James Bond would stick with the manual. When you've got a power plant like that, you need equally good brakes. In the case of the DBS, they're Aston Martin's first carbon ceramic setup. 15.2-inch rotors in the front, 14.7 in the rear. You've got a firm linear pedal, no fatigue whatsoever, and incredible confidence that something this fast will stop when you want it to. The DBS is like a bruiser in a Savile Row suit. And when you combine that aesthetic appeal with the fact that it's $100,000 less than the Ferrari suitably equipped, I've got to say that the value equation, as ironic as it is to play on the most expensive Aston Martin ever built, is the one that puts it over the top for me. I'm Bouchard. Thanks for joining us on this incredibly nice drive.